You are listening to the Park Flyer Podcast, where we discuss our RC adventures.
Welcome to the Park Flyer Podcast, where we discuss the ups and downs of the new RC Flyer. Join your hosts, Michael and Jay, as they take flight at the park. Now on with the show.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Park Flyer Podcast. I'm Michael from Arizona. With me always are my good friends,
Jay from the hills of Texas.
And AK Mike in Texas.
And how goes it tonight?
It goes well, my friend. It goes well. What are we in day 74? COVID,
Yeah, something of the COVID
crisis.
Oh,
Underground bunker.
I don't know. It seems like it could be day 120 for all I know. Just goes on and on.
Not getting out of the house, so you kind of lose all time frames. But anyway, well, hey, before we get started, this episode is brought to you by A-Power Batteries. You can pick them up at rcbatteriesusa.com and grab a couple. We've got a code for you. It is Park Flyer Podcast 10, so PFPC 10. Put that in on your website and order some batteries. I think you get 10% off. Yeah, so we're excited to have Jason putting these batteries together for us, and I've ordered some, and I use them on a regular basis too. So we're really excited. Once again, A-Power Batteries. You can go to rcbatteriesusa.com, or you can check it out on RC Batteries USA on your Facebook, and just get in touch with Jason and give him an order.
Hey, maybe you'll put like the Park Flyer Podcast emblem on them.
He makes his own labels,
right?
So I don't know. Maybe we could just start a Park Flyer Podcast batteries, and he could sell those for us too.
Power. That's what you need. That's what we want.
The problem is I don't know if he makes the really small ones, but he does make 2200s. So
that's all.
Mike,
that's all we need. I mean, really, I don't know what you guys have been talking about all this time.
Yeah, I don't know.
3,400 milliamps. Who needs that?
Exactly. Well, it's a fantastic night, evening, whatever it is. This comes out in the mornings, I guess. But we are good to be together, and we're testing out some new equipment and a new website that we normally record on. And we're doing this with more of a podcast-type recording. So that's kind of neat. We're giving it a test. Now, the reason is because we had some technical difficulties.
No.
And we're looking at the guy right now who caused the problem.
We're pointing
two thumbs. as the initials.
We are pointing. Nobody's pointing fingers but us. But yes, we know exactly who that was.
Who did it.
Right.
Well, we had an investigation that's still ongoing.
And he's raising his hand right now. So that's
right. He is raising his hand. Well, we would like to give a shout out to Tracy Glenn. He is one of our listeners, and he basically, he jumped right on the podcast. He was listening to it, sent us a Facebook message right away that said, hey, unfortunately, you guys had some serious issues. Now, I normally listen to it as it comes out, and because I was driving that morning, I didn't get to because I was already at my appointment, what I was doing, and I didn't get it normally, right away. But unfortunately, everybody was fantastic. They gave us a lot of kudos. Hey, we understand that glitches happen, and this is our first major, audio glitch in 5 seasons, but we made it work.
Well, I just want to let everybody know that I normally listen to it too. Don't you, Jay?
Every single day.
Yeah. So before it gets posted, I normally listen to it as well. So
yeah.
And I know Jay normally listens to it as well. So
right, so we all do get to listen to it before it goes out because obviously we edit
Except
it.
for
But we
that
had something.
Because how do most accidents happen? It's never on. Well, I double checked it and then something goes wrong. It's always I just figured I always double check it and I just I didn't double check it and that's when things go drastically wrong and that's kind of where it happened with us, right? So
right,
people were sleeping late, other people were already at their appointments, things didn't go through, yada yada yada. But the good news for that is that we figured out what's wrong. And for our podcast, actually, what we really should do is we should put up a little video on our YouTube page on how we do this podcast because it's really kind of neat to see from an audio, from a video standpoint how it works. But we are obviously in three different locations,
and we all have our own recording devices. But when we have a guest on, I record both the guest and my own track. But unfortunately, you guys, because it comes in on just one track, then we have three of you on a single track, and we have to go through there and, kind of edit out some of the stuff. Well, as Mike can explain, the software that he was using, he muted those tracks, and they didn't get muted on the export. So during the editing process, something got stuck in there that really shouldn't have been stuck in there, right? I think that's what happened.
I hope the listeners heard that. Did you hear that bus? It just ran over me. I just got through under the bus. Yep, it was me.
Beep, beep,
I did.
It's backing up over him now too.
Do it again, Mike. Do it again. Beep beep. That's awesome. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. I didn't realize that when I exported it that the muted tracks would go also. So lesson learned. Right. Thanks for. I'm glad the listeners were willing to put up with that, and we appreciate them doing that.
Yeah, we really do. We appreciate that they. I will have to say, Jay pointed it out, but we sent out that video of "Don't Be a Frank," and really didn't get too much. I know it was a viewer discretion advised on that one because it really was an adult only. But we didn't get near as many comments on that as we did about the comments that we had technical
that was going to be a
difficulties.
big. People were really going to start talking about it because that Frank guy was hilarious. And I just
oh my gosh!
I mean, they rolled their eyes and said, "Yeah, whatever."
Right.
Yeah. But
so.
I just figured we were really going to get a lot of responses. But this one with the mess up, everybody was talking about it. So it's just kind of amazing what people, the things you think people are going to talk about. It's kind of
I kind of like it because it shows what they feel is controversial, and obviously the technical aspects of our podcast and of the sport in general or hobby in general are what they're concerned about, and so that's kind of cool to know, right? That's what our listeners are technically oriented, and they really care about that sort of stuff.
Yeah, it's either that or they're used to having, I mean, I don't know, you guys can tell us on either Facebook or on our hotline, but I guess they're expecting a certain level of, like professional audio or whatever. And when we do have technical difficulties like that, which is very rare for us, right, that they able to jump on it and say, hey, but I will tell you that along with the technical difficulty, charge that they kind of put out there and said, hey, look, things aren't going as well as they should. We did get a lot of positive, hey, I love your show. The show looks good. Or, we love what we hear. So we are excited. We always love to hear from our listeners. Matter of fact, we should hear from you more. So if you are listening to our podcast and you are on Facebook, jump on the Park Flyer Podcast listeners group. A lot of guys, that's actually where I got most of my information when this was messed up. And funny enough, my wife came walking in. And she goes, hey, what's up with your podcast? And I was like, what are you talking about? And she goes, well, what's with the technical difficulties? And I was like, I just literally walked in the door that morning. I hadn't even had a chance to, I was just downloading it so I could go listen to it. And she's like, yeah, all these comments on your Facebook listeners
all
page
these comments.
So my wife knew about it before I knew about it. So I was like, what are you talking about? And I jumped on there, started listening, about halfway through. I was like, oh. So I immediately called Jay and told him, hey, take that thing down right away because I'm not in a position where I can do it.
That's right. You had to run back out that same afternoon.
I did. Yeah, I was actually out.
Okay, so I wanted to also add, if they wanted to, they don't have to use Facebook. They could just call us.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
At 830-444-4943. And
that is correct.
They could leave their leave a voicemail for us. And you know what? If they leave their phone number, I think there's a good chance we'll contact you and maybe even have you on the show. So if that's what you want, then, that's another good way. Or you could just not leave your phone number and leave a kind, easy to listen to message and we'll respond to it. Yeah, don't be afraid. Exactly, don't be afraid.
Don't be a Frank when leaving us a message, please.
Right. Well, we do have messages on our hotline.
Really?
As Mike said, 830-444-4943. And we are in the process of kind of organizing those so that we can kind of get in touch with folks. Unfortunately, this, we pre-record these things, so right as these things were coming in, we haven't had a chance to go out and grab those guys, but it's a good one. We will reach out to our listeners. So back to the technical difficulty. That's the reason we're testing out this new software, is because now I think we're able to have our guests recorded on their own. So
I feel like I've been under the bus long enough now. Can we get on to a new topic?
Yes, we can. We can get on to our topic.
Well, not
no
yet.
problem.
Well, you know, the part that people don't realize. I know, right? Back that bus up again.
What, Jay has not given enough.
I know.
He is really,
Go
he
ahead.
is ready to go.
The reason I'm bringing
Get in the
that up
driver's
is
seat
just
now.
because,
Go ahead. It's your turn.
exactly. The reason I'm bringing that up is just because since we were talking to somebody in China, and then we had a wicked delay too on top of that.
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
I mean, that was a really difficult edit. So he would talk, you know, like I had a bad connection with him. So every time I tried to talk, there would be just a huge delay. Then, you know, by the time he got in, and then I'd be repeating things over and over and over again. So, you know, my whole segment we had to cut out and stuff like that. But, you know, with this new program, not that it's going to speed up our, you know, the transmission of electrons or the speed of sound, or light. I mean, but since we're able to record, his session is on his, you know, it's going to be on his own track.
Local. It's
as,
local.
as opposed to all of our tracks and trying to, you know, where we're talking over each other, we're trying to dig that guy out of there. Now he's going to be on his own track, and we should be able to edit it and make it sound smooth from here on out.
Right.
And so that's how you get your airplane flying. Wait, what?
Yeah, right.
And she stepped on the ball.
And that's how you make a podcast, kids.
That's right. Well, I will tell you that, you know, from when we first started the podcast 5 seasons ago till today, it has come a long way. We've done, you know, some serious upgrades, and really gotten out, reached out. People are recognizing us pretty much all over the world now. So it's really kind of nice. And I think that we have actually moved up in the podcast world. I think we might be in the top 5 now, number 6 at least. So I think we're in the top 1 through 6, somewhere in there. Last time I checked, we had moved from like number 19 in hobby podcasts all the way up to in the top. We're inside the top 10, whatever number that would be. So we appreciate your patronage. Please swing by our website and donate if you can. It helps us with the new software that we purchased and some of the equipment that we've got. So I think when we had Tim on, he was talking a little bit about, you know, the cost behind running a podcast. So we do appreciate our listeners, and if you can part with $1 or $2, then it helps us out. We appreciate it. Wherever you are in the world, there is a donate button on our website.
And it'll pay for my medical bills from being run over by the bus.
And it'll pay for our bus rental too.
Yeah, we need this.
Right,
rent
you
the
have
bus
to rent that bus. That's right. That's right. True.
We had to rent the bus. I love it.
That's funny. Well, on to what's important.
Airplane stuff.
Airplane stuff. Jay has extended, when he was here, he extended a little challenge to the three of us. I have not taken up the challenge, but Jay is knee deep in it. So why don't you bring us up to speed?
Well, unfortunately, it's a different glider than what you're thinking.
Oh, well, then never mind.
Yeah. Remember I was talking about the multiplex Hawkeye glider?
Oh, this is the one you picked
That's
up.
what I'm
that you
talking
went
about.
and bought.
I haven't started on that glider yet, the challenge
Chuck
yet.
glider?
No.
Okay,
that's
well, that's good because I haven't started on mine either, so we'll set that aside.
So far, I'm winning. I am winning.
Mike is in the lead, for sure.
I got mine cut up a little bit.
Did you?
Nice.
Well,
yeah.
No.
As the Chuck Glider Challenge gets, underway here sometime this summer,
that's right.
We will.
It's like watching 3 turtles run a race.
It really is. It's pretty funny.
There are no rabbits in this
Jay.
group. We're all turtles.
Nope, we're all turtles.
Yeah,
okay, Jay, then
50.
bring us up to speed on the new glider. What did this? How did this
I had
one come
a
about?
Hawkeye multiplex glider, and it flies pretty well, but it really doesn't glide. I mean, it flies well as long as you have the power on, but you cut the power on, and it's like an F4, right? You cut the power, that thing, it's a flying brick. So
right.
I decided to extend the wing. So I made some templates. For the wing itself, and I got up my what do you want to call it? Hot wire cutter that I have, And I decided to get some blanks. So I looked around for some spare foam just to see if my measurements were right and stuff. And it was made out of beer cooler foam type of stuff. And then before I knew it, I cut out the whole wing that I wanted. And I was like, well, now do I go, after I had tweaked everything, I said, well, now do I go and grab my blue core or the pink foam, really dense stuff and cut it out of that? And I was being extra lazy. Maybe it's the Corona that's got me. I don't know. And I just said, nah. And I just stuck that. I kind of glued and sanded and kind of put together that beer cooler foam stuff. And not to say that it's bad. It's okay. It's just fragile. So I'm sanding it, right? And it sands really easy. But if you change the way you're going against the grain, you'll rub a little hard and you'll pull out the, because it's not really dense together. It's not, like I said, it's not like that blue core or the pink Corningware foam. You'll pull out little kernels of that foam. So you have to be real delicate, when you're sanding on it. So anyway, now the only great thing about it is that the wing is uber light. I mean, it is super, super light. So I'm kind of excited to see just how much of wing loading, which is going to be, -0. It should glide like a dream once I get this together and take it outside and fly it. So it's
going to fly away. You're not going to be able to get to the ground. It's going to be like,
yeah, don't take it out on a windy day. You may never see it again.
No, this is not when you take out and, plus 15 knots, to go out and go gliding or flying or wind sloping or anything like that kind of stuff. So that's about it. I'll have some pictures we could put up on the website, just to kind of show what I've done and what I'm doing. But it's not a super major project, but it's kind of fun, and I'm learning a little bit about putting all this foam stuff together and building a wing like this.
Right. So what made you decide to do that? I mean, I guess just because of the way, you fly it the way you fly it or put bigger motor on it or do whatever. I'm not really sure.
Jay doesn't like to fly a plane unless it's been modified.
Well, that's true. I mean, he's always doing the modification stuff. And I know that as soon as it comes out of the box, first thing he does is search and see, hey, what can I do to modify this? And so, I don't know. When he was over here at my place, he once or twice, automatically was like, oh, here, you should modify this, this, and this. And I was kind of like, no, let me fly it right out of the box. Let me follow the instructions, and then we'll modify it later. But Jay doesn't even get out of the box before he's already had it, modified. So I understand you had a little bit of a mishap with your airplane, Mike.
Yeah, it's sad. So I went to.
Why is it sad?
I went to my friend's house. He has a ranch out in Texas, south of me, and
right.
He's got a lot of trees around his place. And so basically, it's a U-shaped area with trees on three sides, and then there's one side that's sort of open to the road. Well, it was kind of windy, but where we were standing, there wasn't too much wind, and so I thought, okay, I'll just fly it, sort of below the trees or whatever, and it'll be fine. And so I tossed it up, and it flew okay, and I stayed below, but it was a tight space. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to go up above and see what's going on. And as soon as I did, now the wind here for the last couple of weeks now has been in the upper 20s, gusting to 30 or 40. I mean, it's been fairly reasonably windy. And so I flying up there into the air, and the wind hit it and just basically caused it to go straight nose down at the ground. And because it's a EDF, I was able to pull it out. I killed the throttle. That probably wasn't the best idea because then I lost any kind of forward momentum. And so as I was pulling up, it just kind of hit at a funky angle, but it snapped it into three pieces because it was coming down pretty good at the time. So
that's awful.
It is awful, but the good news is it's foam. So
that's right. Now you can put it back together.
Exactly, and then what? The other good thing is that there were a lot of clean brakes on it. So I should be able to just snap it together and maybe put a couple of toothpicks in there or something to keep it, or those kebab skewers,
right?
And maybe that will keep it together nicely.
Yeah, maybe so.
So we'll have to see how it goes. And I'll report back how that works.
And what was the airplane again?
It's the Panther.
The Panther.
Yeah, the Panther. It's got a funky, weird handle on the bottom for throwing. Every time everybody throws it, it goes straight up in the air, no matter who's throwing it, because of the things just got serious power, and people like to toss it up, and for whatever reason, it goes up on its own as well. I mean, it's just
right.
So, and obviously the fans in the back somewhat. It's not tail heavy or anything. It flies really nice once you get it going. But you got to get it on step before it'll fly well.
Yeah, sure. Huh. Well, that'll be interesting. Have I seen that? I don't think I've seen.
Yeah, it's a yellow foam jet EDF. I'm pretty sure you've seen it.
I might have. It's not like the one that Jim has.
I don't think so.
Jim's got the Motion RC, the little Cougar or Panther or whatever you call it.
Yeah, this is one of my freebies from our buddy in Alaska.
Oh. Right, from Jeff.
Yep.
Perfect. Okay. Very, very cool.
Yep.
Well, so it is fixable though, right?
Yeah, as far as I can tell. I mean, it's foam, so if it isn't fixable, I'll put more foam on it. We'll make it work.
Well, there you have it.
It didn't break the motor. So, that's key. It didn't bust the motor
that's good news.
out,
yeah,
and it didn't bust the motor mount. So that part's all good. Didn't crack any of that stuff. It basically, because the nose is out front, it basically broke the nose off, a big part of the nose off, and so I just need to put it back on. Should be no big deal.
Well, very cool.
Some quick grip or whatever, that stuff that Jay likes to use, and off I go.
Yes,
should be good. Although it's hard to find to get that stuff, like
the quick grip.
Well, yeah, because it's not in the stores right now. You go to Walmart or whatever. It's like some of that stuff is gone for whatever reason. Like, I guess because they're not really shipping that; they're trying to ship toilet paper or whatever. And so,
sure.
So I guess I'll just have to order it online and get it that way instead.
Yeah, that's true. I'm still stuck with the Beacons foam tack. I still have a couple of tubes of that.
Yeah.
And I actually, they did have that Gorilla Glue, very similar to foam tack.
It's like Quick Grip.
Tack,
it's like Quick Grip.
It is like Quick Grip, but if you use it and put two pieces of foam together, it will literally burn the foam. It's got to have air.
Yeah. Right. It gets hot.
So I wouldn't put, take it and put two pieces of foam together because it'll just eat the foam.
In that case, wouldn't you just touch it together and then pull it back? Because it's like contact glue. Right?
I would. It's but it takes a lot longer to dry this particular stuff than the Quick Grip is really. I mean, the Quick Grip and the
foam tack,
the Beacons glue or foam tack, is very quick to dry, and the Gorilla Glue stuff has a lot more solvent in it, so it takes a little bit longer. So you don't just do it a minute and then stick it back together. You have to let it set for 5 minutes or so.
Yeah.
At least in my, at least the way that I, have done it, it's kind of like that. So
Mike, you can get the Quick Grip at Walmart.
Right. And so I went into Walmart and tried to find some, but there wasn't any in there.
So some Walmarts do not have it, but you can order it and have it delivered to the Walmart within a day.
Oh. All right.
So,
do you think Walmart will give us a code now?
I wish.
Yeah, I should call them and see if they give them a code.
No, but yeah.
we're going to make their Quick Grip sales right now.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly. Well, do this. Just walk in there and say, hey, I'm here for my Park Flyer podcast discount, and see what they say.
That's a good idea, actually.
Yeah.
No, but it's real easy. Like I said, just get on the site, put in Quick Grip, and then it'll say like your store doesn't have it, and then you can just order it and have it delivered to the store, as opposed to like having it delivered to your house because they're going to add like $5 plus tax. But if you have it delivered to the store, then you can just go there and pick it up, like I said, within a day or two, and it'll be ready for you. All the Quick Grip that you want.
Okay.
Well, there you have it.
There I go.
Now,
lucky for you.
I was just thinking about it. That particular, the Panther, I thought it was EPO foam and not EPP foam.
I don't know. But I've used Quick Grip on it before. It works fine.
Oh, then I stand corrected because I was about to say I don't.
It's not EPP. It's EPO because it's got those little like flattened beads. That's how I know it's EPO.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's flattened beads as opposed to like it looks like what's the word I'm looking for? Like a sponge, a dense sponge.
Oh yes, a dense sponge.
That's the EPP. If you look at our wings, they're made of sort of a really, really dense sponge. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, it's an open cell.
Open cell. That's the word I was really looking for. Thank you, Mike.
Ding, ding, ding.
You're welcome.
Winner, chicken dinner.
What do I win?
A chicken dinner, sir.
A chicken dinner.
Nice. That's insane.
Yes.
So, well, yeah, the EPO foam is just a tighter cell. And they usually injection mold that, and that's why it looks really smooth on the outside. But if you break it open, it looks all like,
right.
all pebbly on the inside.
Yeah, right.
It's
like a bunch of beads. That's why it's squished beads. Yeah,
that's why it's just an injection molded. So that's why paint doesn't really stick to EPO very well either, because it's got a mold release around it.
Right. Yeah, that's why I always rub mine down with rubbing alcohol or something.
Correct. Right. Yeah, that's correct. So. Well, as far as my projects this week have been mostly around my L39. Actually, both of my L39s, my foam one and my turbine.
Right. So the foam one was in a limbo contest, and you were the winner.
I was the winner. That is correct.
What?
And,
wait, I think I might have missed a story. If this was a true limbo contest, or this is Jay's idea of you came and crashed it onto the ground, flattened it.
Yes, yeah, I did flatten it. No, this was the. I think I told this story before, but we were out at the field flying, and I was in my L39, and the guy says, hey, I'm coming in for a low pass.
Oh yeah,
as he went by,
hold my beer. Watch this. Yeah.
Right, exactly. So the problem was that I was waiting for some parts to come in, and they eventually came in, and I'm actually still waiting on my new motor to come in. I got the other motor. I got I ordered the original motor, but then I got this wild hair, and I said, hey, I'm going to go ahead and upgrade it. So I went ahead and ordered the new in-runner motor, and it hasn't come in yet. But the other thing that hasn't come in is the servo. So I stole the servo from another project. And so now I've used spackling on the bottom of it. I've painted it all. I got everything all kind of, it's not really pretty, but I know I'm going to do it again. So I'm just, it's one of those things. So anyway, I have it fixed. It's just waiting on a new motor, and then I'll just put the wing back on and then go fly it. And I could actually go fly it now. I think I have to replace one of the gears. It's kind of sticky, and I just got the new gear. It's sitting here on my desk. So I'll have to replace that as well. And then on the turbine version, L39, Jay and I have been talking, and having hung out with Spencer for the last year and a half or two, I've learned a lot about working with fiberglass. So this was my, recovery. I think in a few podcasts back, if you're just joining us, I had the turbine version, and we lost the elevator servos, and I had to put it in the ground. It didn't really do a whole lot of damage. It kind of messed the nose up, but I wound up getting the new nose from someone who
crashed
had one.
Way worse than you did.
And who crashed way worse than mine. And the nose section of his was perfect, and the tail section of his was torn up, and mine was the opposite. So I got the nose from him. And anyway, now it's all stripped and ready to go together. But it had pulled the landing gear boxes out of the wings, and had torn up a bunch of the where the gear actual slot where the gear comes in and out of the wing. It tore that all up. And so I've been this last week putting all that back together. And I've sent pictures out to the guys here. I'll have to post a couple so that you can actually make comments on them. But it's actually turned out, what did you think? It turned out fairly decent.
It turned out a heck of a lot better than I could have done, that's for sure. Wow.
Yeah? Well, I had some good tutelage.
I don't think I would even tried it, so there you go.
Well, it's funny because I sent the pictures over to Spencer, and he calls me immediately, He goes, okay, that looks pretty good. And I said, hey, Sensei. And he's like, yeah, don't take the pebble from my hand yet. We still have some work to do.
Nice.
So I was kind of like, okay, well, he's, he didn't really release me to go solo on it, but he's kind of like, okay, you did a good job, but there's a few things that I noticed that we're going to go ahead and fix. So the project that's this coming week is actually making gear doors to fit in those little slots that I cut. And so we were talking about it, and I've never, it's hard to believe, but I've never built a scratch-built airplane, like from a box of just balsa.
Wow.
And I know a lot of guys out there have, and I know we've been doing this long enough, Jay, that we should have done
Jay,
that.
have you?
I know
Jay, you've done it?
Yeah.
I have too.
Yeah, Jay
have
has.
too.
But I never did. I mean, my very, very first, RC plane when I was a young kid was a Cox, and it was all plastic, and it was on a control line. So I never really got to where I was building. I mean, I love building models, but I built testers models and that kind of thing. I never really got into the wood where I actually had to measure it and build it from, plans. I never got that far. Most of my stuff was foam. Now I've built a ton of stuff out of foam. But nothing.
No, that's not
so
true.
I wasn't really
you,
sure
you
how
haven't
to...
had a full built-up kit, but I mean, you've had ARFs. Because I brought several of them down to
correct.
you.
Yes. Yeah. Right, and I have had the ARFs and stripped them down, and I have repaired them. So when it came to working with balsa wood and monocoat, that's not an issue. I can usually do that, no problem. But I had never worked with fiberglass and balsa. So working, actually building up a fiberglass and then covering the whole fiberglass with glass and then painting it and doing all that stuff, I've never really done that. And this was my opportunity to do it. And, Spencer, he got a new job. So he's out in Dallas actually in training. And I think he's trying to reach out to actually get with Mike. He called me the other day. Hey, give me Mike's number. He wants to go flying out there. But anyway, he, when I tore this up, he kind of sat down with me and said, this is what you need to do. And so I looked at it and I thought, okay, well, I have all the tools now, right? And I have this stuff. So I went out and got most of the stuff that I needed. And then it was just a matter of, following his guidance and just taking a risk. And the hardest part of the whole thing was taking my Dremel tool and cutting out the rectangular shape out of the wing. Because at that point, the wing's ruined, right? You just cut like all of the fiberglass. You just cut this big rectangle out of the wing. Now, how do you get all that back in there? Because most of it was destroyed. It was all splintered and, ripped up and torn. And so I had to go outside of all that and cut a rectangle around all of the parts that were, destroyed. And now I'm actually looking inside the wing with the ribs. How do I actually attach something, that's going to come back and fill this hole and not look like a big, massive, goofy repair? Because the stuff that Spencer does, you can't even tell it's been wrecked. I mean, it looks brand new. So I started small. I fixed a couple of holes in the body itself, so I could learn to kind of deal with the fiberglass. And then I kind of, on the phone, I went over everything that I needed to do to get this wing set up for repair. A couple of really weird things. It's not like you can just cut a hole in your wing and then just drop a piece of balsa wood down in it. It doesn't. There's nothing to hold the balsa wood, right? It just drops right into the hole. So how do you go about doing that? And then how do you actually get the two pieces to go together and become one, as opposed to, just kind of butting them up against each other and hoping that they're
because at least with a built-up kit, you're getting plans. So if you have something break along a rib spar, or anything like that, you can kind of eyeball it and go, okay, the rib is cut in half or broken in half. Well, it's about here. I square that one off. That's there. Measure that out, and just on the plans rebuild that 3/4 of the rib, and then you can have it slide right together and be perfect. But you don't have plans to build a rib from. You're just kind of winging it, so to speak.
So to speak, it was a wing.
Uh-huh.
Well, okay, so way back in the day when you were down here one year, and you and I were flying together, and we had a midair. Remember with the P-51? You were flying the little foamy P-51, and I was flying that extra 300 SHP, which is all balsa.
Like
and we were going to do some formation flying and kind of get together. Jay comes down out of the sky and just freaking takes me out. I mean, there was nothing but foam pieces raining down. It looked like it was raining foam. However, my balsa wood airplane took a big hit from the prop, and it took a big chunk out of the wing, and the motor and the prop broke. The prop broke, and the wing was kind of loose, but I did get it back on the ground, and it was a monocoque airplane, so I stripped all the monocoque off the one wing, and then that was here's a big chunk out of the balsa wood. I could actually repair the balsa wood. And it wasn't that difficult because this was a balsa sheeting over the ribs, and the ribs didn't get broke. It was just the balsa wood that basically got ripped out. So I was able to kind of cut a little bit. It was a smaller hole, right? And there was a rib already there. It just ripped it out on both sides of the rib. And so I just cut it out. So half of the cutout was on one side of the rib, half of the cutout on the other side of the rib. I just laid that piece in there and glued it directly to the rib. And then, kind of puttied around it, put some monocoque over the top of it, and you never knew there was a repair. But I really wasn't worried about the balsa wood looking terrible, right? I just needed to be smooth enough to accept the monocoque, because the monocoque stretched over it and kind of hid a bunch of stuff. But when you lay down one or two things of fiberglass over the top of balsa wood, it picks up all of those mistakes. So you can't just hack up the balsa wood, lay it in there, and then just put fiberglass over it and hope for the best, because now you'll see the seams, you'll see all that stuff. I mean, the fiberglass soaks into all that. So that was a new process for me. And I think Jay and I were talking about it, but I'll pose the question to Mike. If you have a hole and you have balsa wood, and we're talking about a 1/32 size of balsa wood, which is just slightly larger than say a credit card, probably 2 credit cards put together. So you have that. How do you butt the two of those together to make that seam go away? And this was very interesting to learn. But how would you do that?
Well, I don't really know. So I'm going to take a swing at it just because that's what you're really asking me to do here, since I don't do this kind of work.
Sure.
But what I've seen carpet guys do something similar. They basically take 2 pieces of carpet and lay it over top of each other. He was doing not carpet, but he was doing the foam piece. He basically laid it on top of each other, and then he just cut right down the middle of both of them, and cutting them at the same time. And then that second piece just fell down right against
winner, chicken dinner,
so I just happened to notice my carpet guy doing that the other day when my place got flooded.
Hey, maybe we need to have a carpet guy on the show.
Well, and yeah, that's true. And you know what? That may work. But what the problem is that the carpet actually has something to lay on. In my particular case, there was nothing underneath it.
Right.
Because that's where the landing gear sits. And the landing gear, and I have to cut that to the landing gear, it will come out of the wing. So that means that I have to have something to support on both sides of this piece of,
right.
wood.
So my only other thing that I'd suggest then is to just lay hands on it and then say you're healed and hope that works.
Yeah, that didn't work. Trust me, I tried that. Well, interesting enough, that was one of the concerns that I had, and I was talking to Spencer about it, and Spencer said, well, if you were taking, let's just say that you're in the gardening world and you're trying to put 2 trees together, like you're trying to graft a tree. How do you graft the tree? You can do it one of 2 ways. You can split the tree, make a wedge, stick the new branch into the tree, wrap it up, and it'll grow together, right? Or you can cut one side at a 45, the other side at a 45, and lay them together. In this particular case, that's what I did. So I have this big rectangular hole. There is some bracing because I cut it. I didn't cut it right where there was nothing to go on to, but I actually cut it right outside of the existing spar.
Like a camber.
Yeah, and that's what I was telling Jay was kind of the big thing when I laid that, earlier this morning, or just earlier when I said that, that when I laid the saw or the cutting wheel on there, I had to do it, I'm cutting past wherever the broken part is. And that was kind of, a little troublesome for me because I'm thinking, oh man, if this goes wrong, I guess I could just buy a new set of wings. But so anyway, then I took the balsa wood, I measured it out, I cut it, I took it on the sander, and I cut a 45 degrees on the piece of wood that I was now adding. So now what it did is it took 45 degrees off of the existing, I had 45 degrees off the new addition, and when I put them together, they are now even all the way across because they're the same height. Because this one sat down in this little hole, cool. And I didn't have to brace it or anything. And then when I laid, I sanded over the new part because I'm going to lay fiberglass over top of it, and I need it to be just slightly shorter, than the actual balsa part. And I sanded it, although I did sand it probably a little too much. And so when I laid the new pieces of fiberglass on it, and when I finally kind of got it all in there and I put some primer on it, I could actually see that there was a little indentation. So to fix that, I just went back and took some finishing epoxy and put it on there and laid about 3 pieces of 6-ounce not carbon fiber, but fiberglass, and then let it dry. And then now I sanded it out, and it was exactly the same height. But because you're going to have a little bubble maybe, or if it dries, you might have something that's a little bit, has a divot or something in there. And I took the metal glaze, I filled it all in, and I sanded it all out, and now it actually looks exactly like it's part of the wing. Matter of fact, the picture that I sent Jay, you can hardly tell. I mean, you know that it's fixed, but with the exception of not having rivets, on the new piece, you really wouldn't know. So
that's cool.
And so then it was just a matter of cutting the new, hole to put the landing gear in. And so now that I've cut that hole and mounted the landing gear, the key to it is taking a new piece and actually putting it in as a landing gear door. However, we talked about this with Spencer, and Spencer's like, you need something that's really strong. And therefore, he suggested that we use a G10, because G10 is real stiff, and all G10 is just the computer board that you get, and you can get it in various thicknesses online, but we're going to use about 1/32 or maybe 1/16 of an inch, and then we'll lay it over. It's kind of clear, opaque, and so we'll just lay it over the hole, trace the hole, and then it will actually lay flush with the new fiberglass. So that's my project for this week. Kind of a roundabout way to get there, but that's what I'm going to be working on.
And the thing is, you've been running between Spencer's house and your house to borrow some of his tools, do it, come back, fiddle with it. It's not right. Go back.
Yeah, I only did that once, and that was actually to create the motor box mount. I mean the motor, not motor, the gear mounts.
Oh, okay.
Because he's got a scroll saw, a really big industrial size scroll saw, and I needed to use that. So I have one, but it's really small, and my blades are not as fine as his. His makes really fine scroll cuts. Mine's a little bit more like a bench scroll.
Cutting metal
saw, and so it does. It cuts a lot bigger holes. It's got a bigger blade on it. So his is a real minor blade. I can cut real small holes. And I did need to use that, so I ran over to his house real quick and cut out my gear mounts. And then I high-sawed those in, and now that part of it's ready to go. And I'll post a picture on our Facebook listeners group page, and you can comment on it on what you think.
Cool, man.
Or you can call the phone number at...
That's right. 830-444-4943. Or send us an email at parkflyerpodcast@gmail.com.
Love it.
we are out there. See, we're at social media.
I'm shilling
now.
for us, Mike. I'm shilling for us.
I know you. Good job.
So anybody up for flying this weekend or this coming week?
Our field's closed.
Really? They're not letting you guys fly?
Let me rephrase that. The president's coming in, or somebody.
No, the actual president.
VIP.
President. POTUS.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. So, yeah. So, obviously, we're recording this prior to this. I mean, because when this comes out next Tuesday, I'll be flying. But this particular week, this is our off week, because normally we record in between our sessions. But this particular week, it's closed twice. It's closed 2 days out of the week. Got to do some spray for weeds, and then we've got some VIPs coming in to where they close the field down. But real quick, I will tell you that I was out of the field with a new student who wanted to learn to fly EDFs.
Oh yeah,
so that's cool.
Yeah, I got a call from one of our club members, and he he said, "Hey, I just traded for this EDF, and I want somebody to maiden it, and you're one of the club instructors, so I wanted to call you because I've seen you fly them, and I feel comfortable with you." And so he showed up. I drove out there, and he had one of those Flex Innovation Flex jets. And
nice.
Yeah. So we put it together, and I went out and flew it for him, trimmed it all up. And I will tell you, because I got to fly on the new Horus XI-12 or X12.
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Go Tyrannus.
Well, let me tell you how I did not want to go fly because of that radio. I mean, I just looked at it and I was like, oh, Tyrannus. I told the guys, like, why don't you trade for a Spectrum radio instead of this thing, because
oh my God, that's blasphemy, Mike. How could you be the leader of us?
I know, right?
Say the words like that.
Well, because I'm a Spectrum guy. Sorry, that's all I've had. Yeah. I've had JR and Spectrum. That's the only two. I don't even use Futaba. As far back as that goes, I use JR, but instead of Futaba.
Wow.
But I will tell you that the Horus radio was fairly impressive to me. I was pleasantly surprised. Now, I have flown on both of your FR Sky radios, and you guys have, what model do you have?
I don't have the good gimbals.
Okay, so yours doesn't have the good, but it's the lower end model, right? Or what is it? It's a
X9D. It's an old model. I don't even know if I haven't looked out in a while. I don't even know if they sell it anymore.
Yeah. And you have that one too, right, Jay?
I upgraded the gimbals and I put a battery in it. Yeah.
Okay, so I have flown on Mike's, and it is very twitchy to me on Mike's radio. And I know that Jay's did have the upgraded gimbals, and that's what I flew the L39 at your place with, and that wasn't so bad. But having flown this Horus now, it felt a lot more like my DX18 than I was expecting, which was very surprising to me. Now, I'm sure we're going to have all our listeners jump all over me because they're FR Sky users, but the Horus, I was very impressed.
That's all right, Mike. I'll rent a bus.
Oh, good. Yeah, you can run over me in the bus then. So some of the things I liked about the Horus radio was the weight. When I picked the radio up, it was heavy. It felt like my DX18, and my DX18 isn't really got a lot of weight to it, but this thing is built for a tray,
it's a
I
tray
think.
Radio.
And when I picked it up, it's metal. As a matter of fact, the first time I picked it up, I thought it was a Jetty, but I when I looked down at it, I was it didn't have as many switches as the Jetty does, but it is set up for a tray, so it looks more like a tray style transmitter. Now, I will tell you the first impressions, the switches felt really good. They weren't, loose or anything like that. The gimbals were way stronger than both of yours. They felt more like my DX18. They have bigger springs on them, I guess.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think I can tighten that up. That's my understanding. Is I should be able to tighten that up to make those springs give a little more pressure, so that you won't feel as, as you said, twitchy.
Well, and I understand that if you're flying a small, quad or rotorcraft or something like that you would need just slight movements to make, adjustments. But when you're flying an EDF, I want to make small movements that make small adjustments, right? I don't want a small movement making a large adjustment. And when I fly the FR Sky radios, that's what it feels like to me. It feels like if I put a little bit of input, I get way more than I need. And I don't know how to dial that down because I'm not familiar with the radio.
Well, again, I think part of that is pressure.
It could be.
For you, you're looking for the pressure more than you are the distance of it.
Correct.
And I think that's part of how you fly.
It might be because that was one of the comments that he made to me after watching was that he's like, wow, I just watched you fly this jet and you hardly ever move the sticks. Like you don't move them around.
Oh, you mean to corner to corner?
Yeah, to corner to corner. He's like,
that's my job.
You never came out of the center really. And I go, yeah, you really don't have to. And on mine, half the time, my fingers are just resting on the sticks. If I want to move it, I just put a little pressure one way and it starts its turn, and then I just keep the pressure on, and then release it back, and there's not a whole lot of movement out of the center. But that's why I learned to fly. I learned to fly with zero expo, so I never really move the sticks around unless I'm flying 3D. And so I told him, I said, well, that's very important. So the stick movement felt really, really good to me. The switches, I will tell you, are most definitely for a tray flyer because they are far apart compared to what I'm used to. Like I can put my hands on my radio and every one of my fingers can touch a switch. Okay, so the buttons are much closer together on my DX18. I can put my fingers on the sticks and then I can actually touch all the buttons. On this particular one, it was a lot further away. I had to actually take my finger off the actual gimbal to reach up and flip the gear or whatever. And the same with the trims. The trims were a little bit farther apart than what I'm used to. They were up, kind of on the radio. But I've never flown a tray, right? I've always held my radio.
Right. Well, he didn't actually have it in a tray.
So this
just that it was a tray. It's a tray.
No. I just was held it. But I can see this one's set up to be inside a tray. Because you can fly there. Fly with your finger. If I flew with my fingers not having to hold the radio, then all my, like if I pinched both of them, then my fingers would be in a position to touch all those buttons. But because I had it wrapped around where my fingers are behind it, now I actually had to move them around to kind of touch the buttons. So, but I was impressed.
And you don't have dainty hands either, right?
I've got gorilla hands. What are you talking about?
That's what I mean.
I have manly man hands.
With a capital M.
Magilla.
Yeah, exactly. The airplane flew great, and it does have springy landing gear on it, though. That thing was like a pogo stick when I came touchdown. Mostly because I think we had the CG a little farther forward because I didn't want it all the way back for him flying this thing. And so he had 3 batteries. We went out and tested all the batteries, and I picked the best one and put it in, and then I let him fly around. Now, I will tell you, if you have never owned an EDF before and you are getting one or you're just coming into the EDF world, do not set your timer for 8.5 or 9 minutes.
15 minutes? What's wrong with that?
Mike, why are you saying that?
I'm telling you that an EDF will only fly about 3 minutes. 4 if you've got a bigger battery. And if your throttle management
it sounds like maybe you've had this experience before.
I have had this experience. 3 of the L39 mishaps were done because I overflew the 3 minutes because I forgot to reset my timer and went longer than 3 minutes and 30 seconds is what the EDF what my L39 has. So yes, you will run out of battery very quickly with an EDF, especially if you're in the higher thrust ratings where you're flying around with full or 3/4 throttle. So yeah, he handed me the radio. I started flying it. I was flying for about 3 minutes, and I was like, how much time have we clocked off? He goes, oh, well, I had my timer set for 8 minutes. I was like, nope, we're landing, because I had no idea how long I had been flying. And as a result, we came in and landed in the perfect. I just from flying as much as I have, I knew that I was right around the 3 minute mark, and we had about 28% left on the battery, and I was pretty happy about that. But he was pretty shocked.
Oh my, yeah.
He was pretty shocked that you're only going to get 3 minutes out of an EDF. So I know it's kind of disheartening, but that's the life. You gotta live a life with the EDFs.
It is the life.
And if you want to get a bigger battery, you can get a little bit more time, but you are going to run harder on the motor because you're hauling around more weight. So it's kind of a mixed bag, right? In Jay's particular case, 3 minutes on his 5,500 milliamp batteries is almost exactly the same as 3 minutes on the 5,000 milliamp batteries. Right. Because it weighs more, you're going to have to go have a little more power to push the weight around.
But it sure does help with the wind if it's a windy day.
Anyway, it was a good time. We had a great time. We sat there until it got dark, and then we chit-chatted about the podcast and about being a new guy and all that kind of stuff. So I gave him a card and said, hey, listen up. So hopefully he'll listen. His name's Vince. Hopefully we get a new listener here shortly.
Hey, Vince, call in.
I'll tell him. Yeah, give us a shout. Well, hard to believe. I feel like I've talked the whole time, but
it's not hard to believe.
Our hours.
It's a true fact. It's a fact.
It is not hard. That's the whole reason I was told to start a podcast, right?
Yeah, that was actually a good advice to you too.
At least I can talk all I want, and nobody can say anything. Well, that's not true. They could call the hotline and say stuff if they want, or jump on the listener page.
Mike's talking too much. Can you guys, have somebody else talk?
Well, Jay can talk all he wants. Jay's a talker too. I mean, I think all of us are talkers. Ooh. Good thing that bus is not returned.
That's right. I got my bright yellow vest on, so I'm not too worried.
Yikes. Well, what about you guys? You asked the question that if we're going to get to fly this week, and I said possibly. I've been at the field a lot, actually. A lot more than I imagined. What about you?
It's been, like I said before, it's been windy here. We've been seeing gusts up to 26 and whatever. You can't fly a wing in that. From my view, maybe you guys would, but I couldn't fly it. As proof of the fact that Delta wing I flew, I crashed into the ground, and it wasn't even blowing like that. But I think we might have one day coming this week, Wednesday. We'll have to see.
Yeah, I got to get out to the field, give it another quick mow, and get out there and fly this week. I should have that glider done. I'll probably go out in the morning and fly that, and I got another glider as well, so I'll probably go out and mess with it as well. So, I have some new things to report on next time I talk.
Well, that'll be cool. I'm excited about that because Jay, you need to get out there. It's getting a little warmer out there, but you need to get back on the sticks. Jay's been kind of sequestered in the house there. He needs to get flying again.
Yeah, I've just been looking out the window, man. I don't trust anybody with the COVIDs. I stare down the mailman. Just make sure when he's putting my mail in, if he's touching the handle too much, go out there with disinfectant. So I'm not going to get right here to the end of the game.
Give him the hairy eyeball.
They're just cutting Texas loose just to get something from somebody. The only guy I can get it from is the UPS man or the mailman. So hey,
there you go. Well, we may have more to talk about later this month because I think I might have some spare time to come down and harass Jay in his little bunker.
Yeah, crack the seal on the bunker.
Crack the hermetically sealed bunker.
And that's freshness.
Or staleness, one of the two.
I don't smell a thing.
He's been down there in his musky smell. Oh, as I open the door and go, whoa. You need a shower.
I have a few stories about when I used to be a missileer in North Dakota with guys coming down and the sewer system backing up, and they cracked the seal and try to get out there and let the guys in, and they're all like, "Oh my god!" They're gagging, and they're like, "Don't you smell it?" And the other guys are like, "What are you talking about? You don't smell a thing."
Yeah, they've been down there. That's funny. Well, we are all excited about May and this COVID thing kind of opening up a little bit. I shouldn't say coming to an end, but there are still people out there that are suffering and sick, and we are thinking about them. But if you are able to get out and fly this week, please let us know. Once again, the number 830-444-4943. We appreciate those who have already called in, and we will be reaching out to you. And then if you're on our Facebook listeners page, we'd love to hear from you.
Post those pictures up of your successes, your crashes, your beautiful field or event that you may have out there. Post some of those pictures up, and let's get some talk going between everybody.
Other than that, I think we're time to wrap it up. Our hour's up. Holy cow! So
wow,
go figure. Goes by fast, always.
Yeah, we're getting older. Time's speeding by.
Yeah, somebody's getting older this month.
2 years.
Somebody definitely is.
Yeah, that's right. The mics have the same day. Believe it or not.
That's not even planned.
AZ Mike and AK Mike have the same birthday. We didn't plan it. I don't know. Maybe we were texting each other in the womb. Hey, buddy, let's get over.
Mike, I just want to say texting wasn't even, available then. Not even like on a flip phone. I mean, come on. I mean, that's
Maybe
you'd have to use a dial phone and make click 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 noises to send a signal like Morse code or something.
We were using cup phones.
Yeah, that's it
with the screen. Oh, don't throw me under the bus because of my age. Yes, we are getting older this month, so we will have a birthday episode, I guess, later on in May. Well, we appreciate your time with us here on the Park Flyer Podcast. Good luck this week. Go out and fly something. If you're still sequestered, then get something out and build it. Send us a picture of what you're building, and we'll put it on the show. Head on over to rcbatteriesusa.com. Type in the code PFPC10 for 10% off your order. That's A-Power batteries. That'll help all of us out. Anyway, from Michael here in Arizona,
Jay in the hills of Texas,
and AK Mike in Texas.
We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Let's fly.
You have been listening to the Park Flyer Podcast. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to your next visit. Please give our show a star rating and review, and feel free to email us your questions, topics, or suggestions to parkflyerpodcast@gmail.com.
Mail stuff kind of up there. I was like, oh, crap. That was me.
The little ding was you. We know it was you.
Busted. For sure.
Busted.
What a ding.
You are.
Well, nobody mentioned it when I started.
All of us were.
Oh, really? Okay, I thought you were an adult. That's fine. I realize now.
Who was that? Jay?
What are you talking about? I heard somebody's email on the other side of their phone going off. What are you talking about?
Nope, it wasn't mine because mine's silenced. That was Jay's bell going off. So
more bus driving. Here we go.
Yep, Jay got busted.